Imagine this. Your company has invested heavily in AI to drive innovation and efficiency, yet key business decisions are subtly undermined. The cause? Bias, embedded deep within your AI systems. It's not just an ethical concern, it's impacting your bottom line. By the end of this video, you'll discover how this hidden flaw could be costing your company millions. And more importantly, you'll know the steps to take to protect your business from its effect. Today we're tackling a crucial issue in the AI industry, and that is bias in large language models, or LLMs. As these powerful tools become increasingly integrated into our daily lives and business operations, understanding and addressing their biases isn't just a technical challenge. It's vital for business. LLMs are already integrated into many business tools, from ChatGPT and automated customer service to improving recruitment processes and delivering data-driven insights. Let's begin with a sobering example. In 2018, Amazon had to scrap an AI recruiting tool because it showed bias against women. Now, the model trained on CVs that were submitted over a 10-year period, and it had learned to penalize CVs that included the word women's, and even downgraded graduates of women's colleges. Now, this case really highlights the real-world consequences of unchecked bias in AI systems. But this isn't an isolated incident, because in 2019, a study found that a widely used algorithm in American hospitals was systematically discriminating against Black patients. The algorithm was less likely to refer Black patients for extra care than equally sick white patients. Now, this bias wasn't intentional, but it happened because less money has historically been spent on Black patients. So as a result, the algorithm underestimated the care they needed. Now, these examples really underscore a critical point, and that is that AI bias isn't just a theoretical concern. It has tangible and sometimes severe consequences that can affect individuals, communities, and businesses. So what exactly do we mean by bias in LLMs? Well, these biases manifest in different ways, such as gender bias, where LLMs reinforce stereotypes by associating certain roles with specific genders. There's racial bias, where LLMs perpetuate unfair representations of racial groups. There's cultural bias, where they favor certain cultural perspectives over others. Age bias, where they underrepresent or stereotype certain age groups. And socioeconomic bias, where LLMs reflect disparities in how economic classes are portrayed or treated. Now, there are other forms of bias, of course, including religious, disability, sexual orientation, political, occupational bias, among others. These biases often intersect, creating very complex challenges that can't simply be addressed with easy solutions. Now, you might be thinking, well, can't we just eliminate all the bias? Well, if only. Unfortunately, it's really not so straightforward. The sheer scale and complexity of LLMs make comprehensive bias detection nearly impossible at the moment. But while we can't eliminate all bias, we can significantly reduce it. And I'm going to give you 3 sets of recommendations that will help you do that. First, let's consider 3 key actions you can take to address bias in LLMs. Firstly, prioritize high-stakes applications. Focus your bias mitigation efforts on areas where biased outputs could lead to real harm, such as hiring, lending, healthcare, and legal applications. Next, implement a multi-pronged detection approach. Now, to do this, you should use statistical tools to check for fairness across different groups, apply sentiment analysis to spot any differences in tone or sentiment, look at how different groups are represented in your data, and have diverse teams review outputs to catch any potential biases. And third, develop a well-rounded mitigation strategy. Ensure your training data includes diverse representation. Adjust model designs using debiasing techniques. Fine-tune models with carefully selected datasets. And apply filters and post-processing to clean up biased outputs. Remember, each of these approaches comes with trade-offs. That's why it's really crucial to develop a domain-specific strategy that balances bias mitigation with other performance objectives. Different industries and applications may need different approaches. For example, in healthcare, the focus on ensuring that your AI models don't perpetuate existing health disparities is really important, whereas in finance, you need to pay special attention to ensuring fair lending practices across all demographic groups. Now, they were the technical recommendations, and next I want to share a set of organizational recommendations. But before doing that, let me say a few words about regulation around AI bias, which is really changing fast. In Europe, of course, there's the AI Act. In the UK, we're seeing guidelines emerge from bodies like the Centre for Data Ethics and Innovation. Globally, we've got industry standards like IEEE's Ethically Aligned Design, which are developing. In the United States, while there isn't comprehensive federal legislation specifically addressing AI bias, a number of states and industries have taken steps to address the challenge. So what does this mean for managers and leaders? Well, it means that addressing bias isn't just the right thing to do. It's increasingly becoming a legal and regulatory requirement. You need to be prepared to demonstrate that you're taking concrete steps to detect and mitigate bias in your AI systems. Now let's move on to our next set of actionable recommendations which focus on organizational readiness. Now, you should aim to build a diverse, interdisciplinary team. And when you do this, include AI engineers, ethicists, legal experts, and specialists from various fields. And have this team focus on ongoing bias detection and mitigation. You should also create a comprehensive bias evaluation framework. When you do this, be sure to use a mix of metrics to get a full picture, and regularly benchmark your models, and be open about your evaluation methods and results. It's a good idea to develop a strong ethical AI framework, which involves aligning with regulations and industry standards. You should be performing regular ethical audits and being ready to show compliance with relevant laws. And finally, you should invest in research and development, where you'll need to focus on advanced bias detection and mitigation methods, and stay up to date with this fast-evolving field. Remember, addressing bias in LLMs isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process that requires continuous monitoring, evaluation, and adjustment. Now, looking ahead, here are some important areas to keep your eye on. Better understanding of AI decisions, making it easier to see how AI reaches its conclusions. Finding the root of bias, using new methods to understand where bias comes from. Federated learning, sharing knowledge from data without needing to share the data itself. And smarter bias fixes, creating more flexible ways to reduce bias in AI systems. Now, one particularly promising area is the development of explainable AI, or XAI. Now, this approach aims to make AI systems more transparent, allowing us to better understand how they arrive at their decisions. Now, this could really be a game changer in bias detection and mitigation because it would allow us to pinpoint exactly where and how bias is entering the system. Another area to watch is the use of synthetic data in training AI models. By carefully designing synthetic data sets, it's possible to create more balanced, representative training data without the privacy concerns associated with real-world data. Now, for our third and final set of forward-looking recommendations, first consider fostering interdisciplinary collaboration. To do this, encourage ongoing dialogue between AI researchers, social scientists, ethicists, and domain experts, and aim for holistic, effective approaches to bias mitigation. Next, stay ahead of the curve. This is where you really need to monitor developments in interpretability techniques, explore causal approaches to understand bias, and investigate federated learning for privacy-preserving bias mitigation. And you should cultivate an ethical AI culture. To do this, prioritize bias mitigation at all levels of your organization. Allocate sufficient resources to these efforts, and encourage ethical reflection in all stages of AI development. And engage with policymakers and industry bodies. This is where you should participate in discussions which are actually shaping the future of AI regulations, and try to contribute to the development of industry standards and best practices. As a manager or leader, your role in this process is crucial. You set the tone for your organization's approach to AI ethics. By taking these steps, you're not just mitigating risk, you're positioning your organization at the forefront of responsible AI development. Now, remember that company we imagined at the start of the video, the one with AI subtly undermining its decisions? With the right strategies we've discussed, that company could transform its AI systems from a hidden liability into a really powerful, trustworthy asset. By addressing bias, they wouldn't just be avoiding potential losses. They'd be unlocking the full potential of their AI investments. If that company is yours, then the choice is in your hands. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video.